What's up, guys? This is Eddie. You guys had some questions about the install, so we just wanted to not really go through everything all over again, but kind of just answer some of the questions that we've been getting. So this is the cooler that we're using. It's a 25 row. You can see this is a massive cooler. If I were to line it up right here, it does not fit the fairing. Right, this is the biggest cooler that we could possibly fit in here. So what that's going to do is obviously it's going to make it look better because it's going to fill the fairing out. We could have used a smaller cooler, but in my opinion it would just do it some disservice. So using the bigger cooler allows to fill out the majority of the fairing. What that's also going to mean is it's pretty difficult to get this thing on here. So as you can see, this is about a foot by 7.5 inches. So this is a massive cooler. So getting this thing in here is, or it can be a little bit difficult. So I just wanted to give some tips and tricks to see what you can do to actually get her in there. As you can see, there is no movement with this cooler. So I can yank on it, I can push it back, forward. This thing is not going to go anywhere, right? Once this thing is on here, it will not move no matter what you do to it. All right, guys, another question that we kind of get, so just wanted to hit on, right, is you're going to use the 90 on top of the cooler, and then the end is going to come with a negative 10 AM fitting, right? We leave these on there just in case, in a perfect world, somebody wants to run it to the heads or something like that, and they want to use a 10 AM fitting. You just put it on. But if you want to run it how we're doing it with a hose clamp and stuff like that, all you're gonna do is gonna get 2 wrenches and you're just gonna take this off and then just gonna route it like we did in our previous video. So that's just another question that we get asked, so just a heads up. So we just leave it on there because obviously it is a very good fitting. If you do want to use it or alter it in whatever way, if you don't, just take it off and then route it how we did in the video. So we're gonna work in a little bit reverse order. So you can obviously see it's on there, it's not moving. So I'm gonna take this fairing off, so we're gonna show you how we routed our bike and kind of what we did on this one. Fairing. So a lot of commonly asked questions that we get is, will it fit with an amp? So I have a Rockford amp right here behind the cooler, and I have no problems with clearance. I also have oversized speakers and pods that are cut out, and still I can get this in there. So as you can see, once we took the fairing off, the cooler, once you get your lines routed, which we showed you in the previous video, so I'm not really going to do that, it's essentially going to be kind of floating a little bit, right? So there's 2 main reasons that we did that. So it is almost impossible to develop a universal bracket because not everyone's lines are going to be routed the exact same way. So that's a kind of a big takeaway. This kit is meant for you to kind of make it your own, route the lines however you want, right? Whether you're going to crisscross or do whatever. And then there's going to be a lot of play here, right? Once you get the lines as deep as you can and pushed in, where the cooler is essentially going to kind of float, and then you kind of push the outer fairing back on there. And then once you have her locked in, right, which is going to be kind of a bitch to get back on, and we'll show you how we do it, it is essentially locked and it's not going to move, right? So the reason we did it this way is so everyone is going to have their own unique way of routing the lines, and then you just pretty much just go from there, right? So as you can see, there is no bottom bracket, there's nothing attached on here. It's pretty much just the cooler and it's just kind of floating up. So you have some movement up and down. The cooler is always going to be, for the most part, almost 100% centered on the actual bracket where you mount the light. So that's always just a reference point where you can start, and then you have a little bit of movement left, right, up and down, and we're just essentially trying to push this as deep as we can get it so you can actually mount your fairing back on there, right? It is recommended that you have somebody help you put it back on, but I promise you once it's in there, it's not going to move at all. The lines, the pressure pretty much just keeps everything back here. Obviously there's nothing supporting this right now. It is kind of free moving. Another question that we get, S1s, they don't have a high beam. So it's just gonna have turn signals and then just constant light. Right, so there's no high, low, there's kind of nothing like that with these lights. Yeah, there's no shelf, there's nothing in here. So the cooler is just the cooler, the lines are routing it, everything's just in there. So once you push this in there as deep as you can, it'll essentially be floating. So essentially, once you get the outer fairing closed back on there, right, it is going to be a snug fit. This is a 25 row. It's designed for a car, right? So there's not much space in here, but as you can see, right before we close anything or even put it screws back on, there should be no gap, right? Your fairing should seal completely. It should be completely waterproof, airtight up here. There should be nothing where there is essentially a gap. So it should just be like you're closing your fairing up like normal. Actually, we're just gonna start everything kind of hand tightening it. We're not gonna use any tools as of now. It's super important that we're not stressing out another side. It's already gonna be a tight enough fit as it is. All right guys, so pretty much the fairing is back on there. Honestly, it's a very easy install to get the fairing back on, but if you've never done it before, I can see how it could be difficult, right? Having an extra set of hands definitely helps to push the fairing back on. If you do one side first, you put all your bolts in first, it's gonna be almost impossible to get this thing back on. So hand tighten them on, have the fairing on, and then push everything in and tighten everything as best you can. So we'll kind of show you guys again, there are no gaps in this fairing. It is perfectly sealed. Your fairing should close 100%, no problem, okay? So remember guys, you're gonna have turn signal function, pretty much everything when you buy it. Remember, these do not have a high beam at all, so it's just gonna have pretty much constant on. Hopefully this helps when you put your cooler back on. Like I said, when you're buying this kit, it's not gonna be 100% plug and play. Obviously the harness is gonna work, the bracket, everything, but you kind of have to figure out how you want to route your lines and then match the fairing to however you do it. But I promise you the fairing will go back on and you are not going to have any gaps. So that's very, very important to know right now. We have it back in there. This thing is not moving. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay? Like I said, hope this helps you guys. Like always, if you have any questions, DM us, email us. I'll do everything I can to help you get this thing back on there. Okay? Once again, thank you so much for your support. Hope to talk to you soon.